All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about something huge, a complete roadmap that can take you from knowing absolutely nothing about data to landing a high-paying tech job. If you've ever felt lost wondering what the exact steps are, well, you are in the perfect place. Let's get into it. And more like a map for your own personal quest. We're going to cover everything from the call to adventure all the way to that final boss battle, landing the job. So, what our source material is laying out here is a complete roadmap. It's designed to take you from knowing absolutely nothing all the way to being a professional data engineer. Think of it as your official call to adventure in the tech world. And hey, every good adventure needs a guide, right? The source material actually introduces this little character, Agent Snowman. He's meant to be a friendly face for the world of data, specifically for the Snowflake platform that's part of their whole ecosystem. For our purposes, just think of him as our buddy who's going to walk us through all the steps. So, where do you begin? How does this whole journey kick off? Well, every great adventure starts with taking that first big step across the threshold. And for a data engineer, that means you've got to master the absolute fundamentals first. And boom, here they are. The source is super clear about this. First up, SQL. It's basically the language you use to talk to data. You ask questions, it gives you answers. Simple as that. Then you have databases, which is, well, where all that data actually lives. And finally, you gotta have some basic cloud knowledge. Why? Because that's where everything happens now. It gives you incredible scale and flexibility. Seriously, these three are the absolute non-negotiable foundation. Okay, so once you've got that foundation down, it's time to level up. This next phase is what the source calls the road of trials. This is where you really start building on what you know to get skills that are way more powerful and way more in demand. So the key thing here is moving past just the basics. This means you got to get your hands dirty with actual cloud data platforms. You need to understand why systems are built a certain way, that's architecture, and you need to learn how to make everything run faster and cheaper. That's data optimization. This stuff is what separates the beginners from the real pros. Now, what I love about this is how it just completely demystifies a complicated sounding term. Cloud data platforms sounds kind of scary, right? But the source just boils it down to this. You're creating tables, you're running queries, and you're managing data. That's it. It's just you applying your SQL and database skills, but on a massive scale up in the cloud. Knowing the theory is one thing, but employers, they want to see what you can actually do. This is the part of the journey where you forge your sword, where you build real, tangible things that prove you've got the skills to pay the bills. And your first project, according to the source, a data pipeline. The best way to think about this is like the automated plumbing system for the data world. It's the system that moves all that data from one place, say a company's app, to another, like a big central database. Doing it reliably and efficiently, that's a core skill for any data engineer. And next up, you build analytics dashboards. So if the pipelines are the plumbing, the dashboards are like the cool, fancy faucets. They take all that raw data that's flowing through the pipes and turn it into charts and graphs that a business can actually use to make smart decisions. This is where data truly becomes insight. And this is so important because it really shows you the whole point of building these projects. It's not about just learning one tool by itself. No way. It's about connecting the dots, seeing how the data pipeline feeds into the database, which then powers that awesome dashboard. That's the big picture thinking employers are desperate for. All right, you've learned the skills, you've built the projects. Now it's time for the final battle, turning all of that hard work into an actual job offer. This is where you get ready to enter the arena. The source gives us three final, absolutely critical steps. First, you've got to make your resume shine, highlighting all these new skills and projects. Second, practice, practice, practice for those technical interviews so you can solve problems when you're on the spot. And third, get your projects up on a site like GitHub where people can actually see your work. The message here from the source is really simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. Success isn't going to come from trying to do all this in one weekend. It comes from consistent, focused effort day in and day out. So the big question is, how long does this all take? Well, get this. The source suggests that if you're consistent, you could be job ready in just a few months. A few months! I mean, that's a huge motivator, right? A totally new career could be way closer than you think. And with that, let's get to the final message. And this comes straight from the source material we've been looking at today.
And here it is, the source's final word. They wrap it all up with a really direct call to action for their own program. They say, and I'm quoting here, "Don't wait for opportunities, create them. Start your journey in Snowflake Masters today." So yeah, it's a clear motivational nudge from them to get started.